Good evening, everyone. I hope you're all doing well and having a great day so far. My name is Drew Afualo. I'd like to welcome you all to our exclusive Own Your Future webinar. I'd especially like to welcome all of our guests. Those of you joining us for the first time, welcome. Now, before we move on, I want to pose a few simple questions to you all. Number one, how many of you would like to be debt-free and financially independent? And number two, how many of you would like to know how to replace your full-time income on a part-time basis? Well, let me tell you, you are in the right place at the right time. WFG stands for World Financial Group, and we are a Transamerica Aegon company with over $500 billion in assets. We are in alignment with the most powerful financial institutions in the marketplace today. And isn't it true that every now and then a new idea comes into an old industry and it completely changes the way they do business? So if you take a look at what Uber has done to the transportation industry, what Amazon has done to retail and distribution, Starbucks to coffee, Apple to the entertainment and telecom industry, the list goes on and on. We are taking that exact same approach in the financial services industry. It's not what they did that was important, but it's how they did it. WFG is revolutionizing the financial services industry with a philosophy of no family left behind, and we are completely rewriting the record books on how financial products are distributed to families today. So with that being said, I'd like to introduce you all to two highly qualified individuals who will share with you our company's story this evening. The first individual who you'll be hearing from last today was actually born in Haiti and moved to the United States when he was 9 years old. And after growing up in the United States and attending school, going to college, he joined the US Marine Corps, where he quickly rose through the ranks to eventually become a leader of the Marine Corps' silent drill team and has carried the flag for two US presidents. But after 13 years of serving his country, he left the Marines to pursue this business on a part-time basis, and that was 22 years ago. He's now a senior executive vice chairman in this company and makes over $1.2 million annually. He's one of the most sought-after mentors in our business, and I'm honored I get to introduce him to you all this evening, Mr. Dan Charlier. The second individual who you'll be hearing from first this evening actually has a background in public relations and was in that industry for over 23 years. After climbing her way to the top, she was making a high six-figure income and managing an international team, but what she didn't have was time. So after joining WFG 5 years ago, not only was she able to replace her six-figure income and retire after 23 years, but more importantly, she was able to get her time back and is now in business with her husband and her kids. She's one of the most sought after brokers in our firm, and I'm so excited you all get to hear from her this evening, Mrs. Noelle Afualo. So without further ado, I'd like to thank you all, and I encourage you to listen with an open mind and an open heart and enjoy the presentation. Noelle, go ahead and take it from here.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Drew. I'm so excited to be here, you guys. I see so many people here today, and that's awesome because that just tells me that there's people out there looking for an opportunity that's different than anything you're ever going to experience. And I have the fortune to be able to tell you about our client side of the business. So let's just talk about who we are as a business. But first, let me tell you a little bit about me and where I come from. So as Drew alluded to, I just fired my boss a little over a year ago, gave up a high six-figure income. I had a brand new car every 2 years. I had a black MX card to wine and dine my clients. I was traveling the world internationally, which sounds great when you're from the outside looking in, right? But it was, I'm traveling all over the world, but it's for business, right? I was living out of a suitcase, living in an airport. It's probably not a good thing when the airport employees, they remember you like, hey, Noelle, you're back in New Zealand. I'm like, hey, how's it going, right? And so it looks glamorous from the outside looking in, but I was making all this money, but I carried two phones. I had two laptops. I was in the 23 years, you guys, I took 7 vacations, right? Because I was out building someone else's dreams and goals and winning billion-dollar contracts with a B, billion-dollar contracts. And meanwhile, back at home, my kids were growing up without me. And so you see here on the left, that's my husband and I. He played in the NFL for the Arizona Cardinals. And that's me looking like I'm 12 years old, but we were high school sweethearts. At the time we had 2 kids. That picture was taken at Texas A&M right before he went into the NFL draft. And we've seen everything. We've mastered being broke. We've had some great times, some low times, and everything in between. This will be our 28th year that we've been together, been married. This will be our 21st year being married. And we went from zero to hero through WFG, right? And what do I mean by that? It's cool if you have a whole bunch of money to spend, right? But if you're not home to spend it, what's the point, right? And so this is us on the right hand side. I retired Tate. Actually, he was a sheriff for 11 years in the Orange County Sheriff's Department in Southern California, and we retired him after the first 11 months in the business, right? Because we doubled his income just like that, because we all know, law enforcement, first responders, they don't make a lot of money. And so he got to start the business and do it full time. And then I finally came on full time a little over a year ago. Now, what's important about that? Well, what took me 23 years to make that high 6-figure income in that corner office, and I was the only woman of color on the board of directors of 18 men, right? What took me 23 years to get to that level, I did it 1 year here full time. Right. So I'm really, really excited to share with you about what we do for families. Because you might be thinking, well, someone invited me today. I don't really know what it is, or maybe you're excited to see. So we're just going to jump right in. So on this first slide, we're going to talk about who we are as a company, right? But before we do that, I want you to consider these 3 things, right? Number 1, I want you to think about, do you know someone personally who can benefit from this message? So I want you to keep all of this like top of mind. Okay. And then I want you to think about, can the information that I'm going to share with you and that Dan's going to share with you, can it help you, your family, and your friends financially? Right. And then lastly, but certainly not least, because this was a game changer and changed mine and my family's life, literally, without being corny or dramatic, are you intrigued by this business? Okay. And so Dan's going to cover that, but I want you to keep these 3 things top of mind as we're going through this. I also want to encourage you to check your employee hat at the door, because that's what I had to do. And I want you to open up your mind, and I want you to think about, right? I want you to start dreaming again. And I want you to think about, if the information we're going to share with you today, does it directly apply to you? So the spoiler alert, it does, right? And so I want you to just think about these 3 questions as we move along in the presentation. And we're going to keep it very short and sweet for you guys tonight. Okay. All right. So on this first slide, who are we? Right? Who is the backing? What company are we? Right? We are World Financial Group, right? And we're part of a huge conglomerate, right? And what does that mean? We are backed by Aegon. It's a Dutch-based company, right? And they are worth $545 billion. And what does that look like? Like, let me just kind of connect the dots for you, right? If you were to take Nike, McDonald's, and Walmart and put them all together, they don't even come close to the liquid assets that Aegon has. Why is that important? I want you to know this is not like a fly-by-night kind of thing, right? We are backed by a solid company that, oh yeah, by the way, is on the top 10 too big to fail lists of businesses in the world. Not here, just here, in the world, right? So they're a Dutch-based company, and they're like, you know what? We want to have a presence in America. How are we going to do that? And instead of recreating the wheel, they, scanned the country and said, what business is a viable business that we can buy? And then we immediately have a household name business, and we don't have to start all over, right? That's where Transamerica comes in, right? So they bought Transamerica for $14.8 billion. That's a nice little check they had to write for that, right? And why? Because Transamerica is over 100 years old. They wanted a household name that everybody knew. If you go to San Francisco, you see that Pinnacle building, right? You see that, and it's like a household name, and everybody's like, oh, okay. It immediately brings trust to our clients, right? So there's all kinds of different ways that we're all kind of laid out, but that's kind of the umbrella, right? It's Aegon, Transamerica, and World Financial Group. We're literally the marketing arm of Transamerica, right? And so we have we operate under Transamerica in the United States, right? And they're also the 10 largest providers in all of these things like annuities, universal life, term, and all these great financial products that we have that benefits our clients and our family members. All right. So you'll see here on this next page what I'm talking about, right? I bet you if I asked you which one of these companies you're familiar with, right? The first one that you'll probably look at is, oh, Nationwide, right? Because if you're here from the United States, you know, if I asked you to sing the jingle, right, you probably could do that just like that, right? But what's important about this slide is not these six companies, right? Because we work with over 150 different companies because we're a broker, right? We're a brokering firm. So that's important for you to understand because these are nationally known companies. These companies buy 30-second commercial spots on Super Bowl Sunday. And we all know how much that costs, right? So these are nationally known companies that have exclusive selling agreements with World Financial Group. Now, if we were not a reputable company, do you think these guys would hitch their horse to this wagon? Absolutely not, right? So that just tells you the strength of World Financial Group and why it's so important. The other thing I want you guys to think about is when you sit down with us, we have access to all of these companies. We pit them against each other to see who's going to give our clients the best bang for your buck. And that means we work for you. We don't work for these guys. It's pretty amazing. They are fighting to be on our shelves. Why? Because we bring the people to them. They don't have to hire a full-time person and train them and spend $1 million in 1 year to train this person and get them up to speed, right? They get to come to us where we have our families, our friends, and we already have the clientele. So they're fighting to be on our shelves, right? It goes both ways. We want their national name, but they also want us. And so it's a symbiotic relationship, right? So we do everything from life insurance to retirement planning to kids' college savings plans. We do securities products. We do debt management. We do real estate, right? Or real estate, estate planning, right? We do, I wish we did real estate, but we do estate planning, right? For our clients. So we're the one-stop shop, right? So you think about all of these other companies, Morgan Stanley, maybe a State Farm, Dave Ramsey program, Bank of America, you put all of them together and that's what we do, right? So we're thinking, well, what is it that you guys do? That's what we can offer to our clientele, right? And so you'll see on this next slide, how do we do it, right? What do we base our whole planning on, right? And it's the four cornerstones of these financial four cornerstones, right? The first one is protection. How do we protect your family from the worst case scenario, right? We're in the middle of a pandemic right now. How many people do you think wish would have sat down with us, right? And help them get maybe life insurance, right? So we want to make sure we're protecting not just your family, but we're protecting your money, your hard-earned retirement money, your savings and all that great stuff, right? But that's not just it. What about growing, right? How do we grow the money that you're saving so that you can live a nice retirement life and not have to go back to work, right? Think about this. If you work 30 years, right, and then you positioned your money in, let's say, a 401k, and you forgot that Uncle Sam's going to take taxes out, right? What does that look like to your retirement when you're ready to retire, when you need that money the most, right? So we teach our families how to not just position their money where their money's going to work for them, right? We teach them how to grow it and how to keep it safe, right? Which is the next cornerstone. How do we keep our clients' money from being safe, and how do we protect their lives at the same time and keep them safe, right? So we work on that. And then of course, tax advantages, right? Raise your hand if you want us to show you some tricks of the trade on how the wealthy take advantage of all the tax loopholes. All right, look at all those hands going up. Me too, right? We don't mind paying our fair share to Uncle Sam, but we want to make sure we're not overpaying and the wealthy are underpaying, right? So we want to take advantage of that. Why not? Right? So let me just show you how we're going to do it on this next slide. Okay. So we teach our families financial concepts very simply, right? So think about this before we get into the slide. Think about this. If I said, hey, you know what? Let's play a board game, right? And when we start this board game, I'm going to tell you all the tricks of the trade, all of the strategies on how to win this board game. Okay. And you're going to, if I teach you everything, you follow everything I say, then you're going to win, right? Your chances are very high of winning that game if I tell you all the secret sauce on how to win that game. But what if I said, hey, you know what? We're going to play this board game, but I'm only going to tell you 3 rules. And as you move around the board, I'm going to change the rules on you, right? Your chances are lower now of winning that board game, right? So think about your financial future, right, as being a board game. They don't teach you the money game, right? They don't teach you this in high school. Even if you're working on a degree in business at college, right? Even that, they're not going to teach you these concepts, right? So what is the rule of 72? This is a very simple concept that we teach all of our families, right? It's very simple. Albert Einstein called it his eighth wonder of the world, right? You take the number 72, you divide it by any number, and that's how long it's going to take you to double your money. So just imagine if your money is positioned at, let's say, Bank of America, all right? Bank of America is giving you 0.01% return on your money in your savings account right now, right? But let's just say we're generous and they're going to give you 1%, right? So you see this left column, 1%. You take 72, you divide it by 1, it's going to take you 72 years to double your money in that account. So if you had $10,000 at the age of 29, your money's not going to double until you're 101 years old. Now, I know people are living longer these days, but what are you going to do with 20 grand at 101? Right? But what if we could show you where to position your money where you could possibly get 10% return on your money? And you're probably thinking, well, where is that at? Well, we're going to show you that when we sit down with you, right? But think about this. What if we could show you where to get that 10%? You take 72, you divide it by 10. Now it's only going to take you 7.2 years to double that money. So by the time you're 72 years old, you'll have $640,000 in that account. Now, you want 20,000 or 640,000? Guess what? This is how the banks make their money. They take your money out of that account, Bank of America, and they position it somewhere where they're going to get a higher rate of return on your money. They double it really fast, but only give you 20. When I heard this, you guys, I was like, wait a minute. How do we cut out the middleman? Show me how to do that. And that's what we're going to do for you. Okay. So on this next slide, you're going to see there's options for your money, right? There's three different options where you can position your money. That's going to, where you can put your money, let's say. The first one is in a fixed account. This is anything you can do in a bank, right? You can make a little bit of money, but it kind of flatlines out, right? Think about what I just said. Bank of America, Chase, Wells Fargo, US Bank, giving you 0.01% on your money. It's not even one. You might as well put it under your mattress, right? But you could put your money in here, but this doesn't even account for a minimum 3% inflation rate every year, because prices go up, you guys, they don't go down, right? So if you position your money in a savings account at your local bank, this is what we call going broke safely, right? Because if they're not even giving you 1% and inflation is 3%, you're actually losing money, right? Then we have the middle account. This is a variable account. Look at these lines, right? Up, down, up, down, up, down, right? Kind of looks like a heart attack, right? And that's okay when you're young and you're like, hey, I have time to make up money. This is the stock market, right? This is where it fluctuates, and we cannot predict what the stock market is going to do, right? We have an inkling, but it's different every day, right? So you can put your money in here, and that's okay too, right? And then the last one is in an indexed account. This is where you have a 0% floor. What does that mean? If the stock market drops below zero, you don't lose any money. You stay where you're at. So then it locks it in, right? Then the market goes back up, right? Boom, you move up, then it goes down, but you're locked in here. You see what that looks like, you guys? Kind of looks like a staircase, right? So that means you can only earn money in this account. You can never lose money in this account. And these are the kind of things we want to teach our families when we sit down with them. Families, business owners, individuals, right? So on this next slide, you're going to see the IRS will allow you to save your money in 3 different places. Okay, 3 different categories, if you will. There's all different kinds of accounts you can put your money in, but all of those accounts fit into these 3 categories. Okay, the first one is tax now. You can put your money in here. This is like your Bank of America, Chase, Wells Fargo, the same thing you can do in a bank, right? Savings account, CDs, mutual funds, money market accounts, things like that, right? So the IRS says, hey, you know what? Noelle, you could put your money in here, and that's cool. But at the end of every year, if you have any capital gains, meaning the money you put in and then you made a little bit more on top of that, you're gonna make it, and then we're gonna take it. We're gonna 1099 you at the end of every year, and we're gonna make you pay taxes on that little bit of money you made. Okay. Or the middle account. The IRS says, hey, you know what, Noelle? You can put your money in here, but I'm going to do you one better. I'm going to allow you to put your money in this category, and I'm not even going to charge you any taxes. So think about it. 401k, maybe you have that at work. That's what most people are familiar with, right? 403b, 457, an IRA, fixed annuity, savings bonds. That's what this category is. Sounds pretty cool, right? But then The IRS waits till you build this big nest egg for like 30 years. And then when you're ready to retire and you need that money the most, the IRS says, oh, now I'm going to tax you. So let's just say you built up $1 million in that account. After 30 years, you worked your tail off, right? The IRS is going to tax you on $1 million as opposed to taxing you up front. Okay. This is what they don't tell you, right? They don't tell you this at your job. They say, hey, it's open enrollment. Come sign up for your 401k, right? No one explained that to me. So, let me tell you something. This is a sidebar. What I used to do in corporate America, right? They say, oh, open enrollment, October, right? We got some free pizza in the break room. Come listen to these reps. So I'd go in and I'd scan the room for the oldest person in there. And I sit down next to usually a man. I'd sit down next to him and I go, hey, what are you putting on this for your 401k? And he would go, oh, I'm putting this. And I go, okay, me too. And then that's what I would pick, right? Because why? I didn't know any of this stuff, right? And then you have the last category of tax advantage, right? This is your Roth IRAs. You have a health savings account in here. You have a 529, a college kids plan. And you have what's one of our flagship products is what we call a CALI, a cash accumulation and a life insurance policy. Did you guys know that you could stack cash inside a life insurance policy that's non-reportable, non-disclosable to the IRS? And when you pull that money out, right, after 30 years, like in your 401k, if you set up an account as a retirement account and you bankroll that money for 30 years, when you pull that money out, it's tax-free. Did you know that existed? I didn't. And I said, oh, I need to know what that is, right? And we'll show you what that looks like, right? This is the secret sauce that the wealthy know, but they're not sharing it with us. They're sharing it with who? With their own, right? They teach their kids teach their kids. And what do they create? Generational wealth, right? So why can't we change the legacy of our family and create generational wealth? Listen, I came from the foster care system, so I didn't come from money, right? But I can guarantee you my kids will come from money and their kids will come from money and so on and so forth, because it starts here with me and I'm going to start that generational wealth. It's pretty cool, right? So on this next page, you guys, you're going to see how do we do that, right? So what we do is we sit down with our families and we create a financial needs analysis. And what does that mean? So I'm a visual person. And by the way, I'm severely dyslexic. So visuals like kind of work for me, right? So think about this. If you had a boat, let's call it your financial boat, and it had 6 panels at the bottom of your boat. Okay. If any of one of those panels had a hole in it, would your boat stay above water for very long? Probably not. Maybe if you had a hole in one panel, but what if you had a hole in like 4 panels? It'd sink pretty fast, right? So think about this financial needs analysis as us patching up holes in your boat if you have any, right? Not everybody does. Most people do though. Okay. So what does that look like, right? The financial needs analysis that we're going to create from you, we're just going to get simple information from you, how much money you have coming in and how much money you have going out. And we're going to be able to create this amazing plan for you, by the way, which is complimentary. Okay. Everything we do for our clients is completely free. Now, what does this look like? The first panel we're going to talk about in your boat, right? We're going to talk about cash flow. Are you earning enough money to live the lifestyle that you dream about, right? Or are you living paycheck to paycheck, right? Neither one is better than the other, depending on how you look at it. But how are you managing your expenses, right? We're going to help you, right, in that regard. The second panel, right, is your emergency fund. How many of my clients do you think would have listened to me on this part when the pandemic hit, when they got furloughed, laid off, the hours got cut, right? You need to have an emergency fund set up for what? An emergency, right? And that way you can have that peace of mind. If the water heater breaks, your car breaks down, you can go straight to your liquid account at your bank account. You can take that money out and pay for it. Because if you don't, what happens? What's our next panel? Debt management, right? You're going to start swiping a credit card and then you're going to be borrowing from Peter to pay Paul. And we want to keep you out of that, right? Some people come to us and they can't even save money or position money or build an account to increase their income, right? Or their, have their money work for them, right? And not the other way around. Because why? It's not just credit card debt. There's a lot of families that we're helping with credit card debt. But you know what I've been noticing the last 11 months during this pandemic? A lot of people have medical debt. They have health insurance, but it doesn't cover everything. So I have people that are up to their eyeballs and just so stressed out about medical debt. So we want to make sure that we can kind of, corral all their debt and get them out of debt in 18 months, right? I've had a couple clients that did it in less time. And now they're so grateful they can use that money that they were paying on debt and they can now start saving, right? So we're going to help them with that. Proper protection. Listen, you guys, if we've learned anything over this pandemic, it's not when you die, it's not if you die, it's when you die, right? So we want to make sure that all of our families are covered, because you know what? The life insurance is on you, but it's not for you. It's for your family. So you don't leave them upside down financially. How many of you guys have seen GoFundMe accounts on Facebook, right? Because someone passed away and they don't have the money to even just give them a proper burial, right? So we want to make sure our families are properly protected. Then we want to help them build wealth and preserve their wealth. What does that mean? We want to show you how to outpace inflation and how to reduce your taxation during your retirement, right before you retire. Okay, number one. And number two, we want to make sure that all those years that you built up this amazing wealth, that you protect it from going somewhere else. What does that mean? When you pass away, if you don't have your ducks lined up in a row, right, with estate planning, meaning a will and trust, guess what? A stranger is going to make those decisions for you after you pass away, right? It's going to go into probate. It's going to go to a court where a bunch of strangers are going to decide where your assets go, where your money goes, and possibly where your children go if you have children under the age of 18. Nobody wants that, especially my mom's on here, right? You don't want a stranger saying where your kids go if you pass away, right? So we want to make sure that we teach our families that too. And all of this, again, is complementary. Okay. So think of this as a financial, or sorry, like a financial checkup, right? You get a wellness check every year, right? Hopefully you do, right? With your doctor. This is what we want to do. We want to look at the financial health of where you're at right now. It doesn't matter what your income looks like. I want to be very clear on that, because we help everyone. That's the difference between us and other people. We don't just help the elite. We help everybody. Okay. So that's my time, you guys. I'm so excited to be sharing with you tonight. And I want to reintroduce my personal mentor, Dan Charlier. He's helped my husband and I so much and has helped us build a lifestyle that we've only dreamt about. And he was one of the main instruments in how I was able to fire my boss last year and live this amazing life and spend more time with my kids. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Dan Charlier.
All right, Noelle. Oh man, what a great night, Noelle, to have your daughter introduce you, and your daughter in business with you, and your husband in business with you. I remember when you first got started and how excited you were when you first got started, and you had when you think about it, when you saw this opportunity a couple years ago, you actually had the dream job, because you were making over $250,000 a year, and your husband was making a six-figure income himself as a sheriff. But to watch you guys grow and become entrepreneurs and learn financial literacy and watch the business go from your head to your heart. And I remember when you and your husband sat down with me, and you were nervous about him firing his boss and coming full time. And I remember when you made the decision to walk away from the golden handcuffs, give back the black card, get your own card, right? And now to be doing a meeting with you tonight is so exciting. So, there's three questions that should be answered for you tonight. Question number one, is this a credible company? And Noelle did an awesome job going over that. Question number two is that what exactly do we do? Noelle did a great job going over financial literacy and educating families with a crusade and a cause of no family left behind, which is really powerful. And tonight, I'll share a few minutes with you to talk to you about the opportunity. I've been here for 22 years. I have got a background in the military. I grew up in Brooklyn, New York. I was born in Haiti. And I went in the military when I was 21 years old. Spent 13 years in the Marines. 5 of those years was special duty. 2 of those years I spent as a Marine Corps drill instructor down at Parris Island. And then I took over the Marine Corps Silent Drill Team in 1995 at Marine Barracks 8th and I, for all of you Marines out there. And then also got an opportunity to carry the national colors at the White House for the president But my original job in the military was aircraft rescue. I was a firefighter, and I was what you call the career Marine. I had 13 years in. I was going to do 30 years in the Marine Corps. I didn't like it. I loved it. In 1998, I met my mentor, a gentleman by the name of Ed Milet. If you have a big presence, or if you have a presence on Instagram, you could follow him, Ed Milet. Ed Milet Max Out. He gives a lot of great messages on Instagram. And when I met him in 1998, he was 29 years old. He was making $50,000 a month. I had never been around someone that makes $50,000 a month at 29 years old. Makes over $1 million a week now, but in 1998 he was making 50 grand a month. And I remember thinking to myself, I'm 33 years old. I had an opportunity to be in the proximity of someone that's making $50,000 a month. And then he was my mentor. I was fortunate where I got introduced to the opportunity directly from him. So I got a chance to be in his proximity, which is huge. So when he shared this opportunity with me in 1998, the extent of my vision at the time is that I wanted to make an extra $2,000 to $3,000 a month part-time so I could take the financial pressure off my mom. So I remember when I first got started here, if we pull up the slide, I remember when I first got started here, when I looked at the opportunity, what blew me away about the opportunity, that it only took me $100 to get started here. I was blown away by that, $100 to get started here. And I didn't have to have no financial service experience necessary. I was a Marine. My MOS was aircraft rescue. So I was a firefighter. So I didn't have any idea. I didn't have any experience on insurance, investments, business. I had no background in that, but I did have 13 years of leadership of dealing with people in the military. So I was able to start part time. I didn't have to leave my full time job. I was able to still stay active in the military and do this part time. The other thing that I loved about it is that we're entrepreneurial here. It's 1099. We're independent contractors, which means we're not employees. So there's no time clock, which was extremely important. Then there's unlimited earning potential. I remember when my mentor said to me, he said, Charlier, could you imagine turning your annual income into a monthly one? And I remember thinking to myself, oh my God, no one has ever asked me that question before. Can I imagine turning my annual income into a monthly one? And I remember when it happened. Remember my buddies in the military tell me, man, you know what they say, Charlier? If it sounds too good to be true, then it's probably too good to be true. And I went back to my mentor. He's making $50,000 a month. And I said to him, I said, my buddies in the military said, if it sounds too good to be true, it's probably too good to be true. And he said to me, he said, Charlier, what if it's true? Because every now and then a real business opportunity comes in front of you, right? And I remember thinking to myself and allowing myself to dream and thinking to myself, man, this is my shot at the big time. There's leadership development and mentoring business model here. You want to be successful, that's a choice. That's a choice. Now you have to have two things. One, you got to have a real business opportunity, which you're looking at tonight. And two, someone that has done it, that's willing to invest their time into you to teach it to you, right? You got strength on your side. You got all the biggest companies. You heard from Noelle with Aegon and Nationwide on all these different companies, the power of choice, business expansion. Right now, we have close to 450 people on Zoom in all 50 states, right? So we're licensed to do business in all 50 states, including Canada and Puerto Rico, which is really, really powerful. We've got a system here, which is really powerful. We got equal opportunity for all, a diversified field force. This month is Black History Month, right? And you know what I love about our opportunity? Our opportunity is a diversified field force, which means that it doesn't matter. You could be white, you could be black, you could be tall, you could be short. You know, you could be fat, you could be skinny. It doesn't matter here. Everybody's got a shot at the big time. We're growing the underserved market, the financial service industry. Although it's a powerful industry, it's a very biased industry, right? It's a very biased industry. So the middle America is overlooked by the financial service industry. We got the financial needs analysis. You got a chance to see that. Can you believe we do that complimentary for free for families? We bring all the biggest companies. We're bringing Wall Street to Main Street, which is powerful. We've got world-class recognition and events every year in Las Vegas. We do our annual convention where we have the MGM Grand Ball Arena, and we have a stage full of awards and thousands of people between two arenas. We have our own gala award ceremonies, which is incredible. We do a Hawaii trip where we take over 700 couples to Hawaii every single year. Since 1999, you guys, our family's been going to Hawaii and at least 3 to 4 vacations a year, which is incredible. It's a dream business. Technology and business tools, which is exciting. Now let's talk about making money. We've got 5 ways to earn income. See, one of the things that's powerful about our business is that you have the ability to have leverage income. You have the ability to have personal income when you sit down with a family yourself, agency income when you build a business. You got expansion income because you can open up offices in all 50 states. We participate in multiple bonuses on a monthly basis, and you have reoccurring income, which is residual income because you're dealing with insurance and investments, which is very powerful. Now, let's say you become a broker with us, right? We have promotion guideline that tells you exactly how to get your promotions. I became a broker my first 90 days in the business because I had a great mentor and I had a burning desire and I was hungry. So I didn't want to wait. I became a broker my first 90 days. I made my first 6-figure income, my first 10 months back in 1999. And then you have some people that take a year, 2 years, 3 years to become a broker. And you've got people that takes 3, 4 years to make $100,000 a year, right? But let's say you're a broker with us. If you're an average broker, no one knows your name. You're not a big shot. You're making about $64,000 a year of 1099 income. That means that you would need to make close to $100,000 a year of W-2 income to net $64,000 a year. Now, if you're a player in that arena, you're making $1 million a year. If you're a senior marketing director and you've got your life and securities and advisory license, the average broker in that arena makes $86,000 a year of 1099 income, which if you were W-2, you would need to make at least $110,000 to net that. If you're a player in that arena, you're making about $1 million a year. I remember someone asked me one time, they said, well, Dan, how long would it take me to make $100,000 a year? And I remember asking him and says, well, let me ask you a question. How long would it take you to make $100,000 a year at your job? Have you ever thought about that? Right? I could have stayed in the military. If I stayed in the Marine Corps, if you go to Google right now and you pull up enlisted military pay chart, E9, over 30 years, the most amount of money I would have made would have been $7,500 a month. That's after 30 years. The IRS put out a publication. They said 93% of the population makes less than $100,000 a year. And 50% of that 93% makes less than $28,000. So when I saw this, you guys, you know what I was excited about? That there's a possibility that I can make a 6-figure income in an annual basis. There's a possibility that I can make a 7-figure income. There's a possibility that I can make an 8-figure income. Now, does everybody do it? No. People ask me all the time, well, Dan, how come everybody doesn't make it? Well, I don't know. How come everybody goes to the gym, don't get in shape? You know, that's a very broad question. Not everybody wins here, but let me tell you, the average person can go out and make an extra $2,000 to $3,000 a month part-time. And we'll continue to believe in them. We'll continue to encourage him. This is a personal self-improvement package tied to a high compensation. You become an executive marketing director with us, which means that you've got some leadership skills. You've expanded. You opened up some offices. Guess what? You're making $193,000 a year, all the way to $2 million a year. You become a CEO with us, right? Well, what does CEO stand for? Chief Encouraging Officer, right? We're constantly selling the dream. We're constantly giving people opportunity. You become a CEO. You open up multiple offices. You're making at least $350,000 to about $2.9 million a year. You become an executive vice chairman, which means that you got some leadership skills. You've opened up some offices, right? Take you about 8 to 10 years. We've had some people that have done it in 3-4 years because of the new era of Zoom. But the average executive vice chairman has been here for 8 to 10 years. They've put in over 10,000 hours, making it in between anywhere. If you're an average in that area, you're making $823,000 a year, all the way up to $1 million a month. Can you imagine that? Right? I was in the Marine Corps for 13 years, and I was operating in top 1% in the Marine Corps. And you know what I was making? I was making $2,800 a month, right? So man, what an awesome opportunity. Now, there's 3 types of people that are looking at this opportunity tonight. I want you to look at it. Well, before I want to go on to that, I want to show you some leadership. Our team. See, this is World Financial Group. Within World Financial Group, we have our own brand, which is Synergy Financial. These are some of the leaders. These are some local leaders from all different walks of life, from all different backgrounds, that have done incredible things within our team, within our organization, which is awesome. The first one I want to show you, is by Joseph and Bathsheba. In 2012, I was in Orange County, and I had just moved to Beverly Hills. And one of the first couples that I met in Beverly Hills that I talked about the opportunity was Joseph and Bathsheba. Joseph and Bathsheba, they own their own insurance agency. They've got a beautiful family. They were making a multi-6-figure income in the financial service industry. They walked away from the traditional insurance industry. They had 120% contract, 100% of their income came from them, but they wanted their time. They didn't have any time. They wanted to be able to travel the world. They wanted to be able to build a team, right? They came over, and they've been full-time now. They make over a 6-figure income with us. They've got a great job, they've got a great team, which is awesome. The next couple I want to go over is Nikki and Kermit Cannon, really good friends of our family. Nikki graduated from USC. She worked at Monster as a recruiter for Monster. Kermit was a strength and conditioning coach. He wrote a book called The Beast Factory, right? They're over here in Los Angeles. Now they're in business. They're in business as a family, right? Awesome couples making over $300,000 a year of residual income, just living their dream, which is awesome. The next couple I want to show you is Jay Jr. and Ronnie Gothier. Jay Jr., when I met Jay Jr., he was 20 years old, and he wanted to be a firefighter. His wife was going to school. She wanted to be a therapist. She graduated, and she was going to become a therapist, and they came full time. They came full time with us. Now they're in San Dimas. They're making over $500,000 a year, and they're in their early 30s. Jay's like 31 years old. I said, Jay, when I was 31 years old, I wasn't even close to making 40, 50,000, and they just got started. They'll be at $1 million in 2021. They'll break over $1 million. See, the opportunity, some of you are looking at the opportunity for first time tonight. The opportunity that you're looking at right now is 10 times better than the opportunity that when I got started. It's 10 times better than the opportunity 10 years ago, because the conditions have changed right now, right? Unemployment is at its highest. You guys, there's over 1 million people a week are filing for unemployment. See, 9 out of 10 people right now, if you ask them, if I was to talk to you about a serious opportunity, would you listen? The answer is yes. All the industries don't have any. See, None of the industries have any momentum right now. Real estate has no momentum. The mortgage industry has no momentum. The debt industry has no momentum. Small businesses are suffering right now. We're in the pandemic. We've turned the pandemic into a paydemic, which is really, really powerful, right? So there's three types of people that are looking at the opportunity tonight. Some of you are looking at, you're already financially independent, right? And you're blown away that we do a financial needs analysis complimentary for free. You might have a life insurance policy. You might have a 401k. You might have an IRA. You might have some debt, right? And you want someone to sit down with you and put a plan together for you to represent you to an industry versus a company and an agent represent a product and a client to you, right? Which is really powerful. Now, some of you, most of you that are here, you were like me. You had a job, you didn't hate your job, but you know what? You were working, you're working a lot of hours and you're not making that much money, right? And you're saying, well, wait a minute, Charlier, you mean to tell me I can make an extra $3,000 to $4,000 a month part-time? I don't have to leave my job. I like to interview. I like to sit down with someone. See, tonight we kind of jumped up and down to tell you how great we are. Well, we'll be doing an interview later on tonight and tomorrow, where we get a chance to ask you some questions and you get a chance to ask us some questions one-on-one to see if there's a fit. Now, some of you are looking at the opportunity. You're looking at the opportunity. You're already an entrepreneur. You got a couple of $1 million saved. You're thinking about buying a building or buying McDonald's or buying a franchise or buying a restaurant, right? And you're saying to yourself, well, wait a minute. You mean to tell me I can own my own company here? And I don't have to come up with a huge amount of capital? Says, I want to sit down with someone. See, tonight we'll be doing interviews. The person that invited you, you want to make sure that person sets up an interview with one of our brokers, right? That interview is going to take about 30 to 40 minutes max. Tonight is Tuesday night. Tomorrow, Wednesday, Pacific Standard Time, from 2 p.m. to 3 p.m., I will personally be doing interviews from 2 to 3 p.m. in a group setting on a Zoom. Now, if you're fired up tonight, if you're an action personality type of person, and you want to go make $250,000, you want to go make $500,000, you want to go make $750,000, you want to go make a 7-figure income, right? Maybe you've done it before. And you're like, man, I used to make $500,000 a year. And I'm not making it now. Or maybe you're making $500,000 now. You want to go up to 750. And you want to interview with me personally tomorrow afternoon from 2 to 3 p.m. See the person that invited you. And I want you to let them know, say, hey, that fired up guy, that Marine that spoke tonight, that he's doing interviews from 2 to 3, Charlier, I want to interview with him. It's going to be a group interview. It's going to be on Zoom. It's going to be a lot of fun. You get a chance to talk to me one-on-one, right? But only for serious players. Here's what you got a chance to see tonight. You got a chance to see a credible company. So I don't want to hear about your buddy that makes $30,000 a year that's like, hey, is this for real, right? You got a chance to see a credible company. You got a chance to see what we do, which is a viable crusade, financial literacy. And you got a chance to see an opportunity for you to play at the big leagues, an opportunity for you to achieve your dreams. So it's going to be incredible. Thank you, guys. Make sure you see the person that invited you. Fill out this business review card that says, I'm interested in learning about financial solutions. That applies to you. Check that off. Starting a part-time career in WFG. If that applies to you, check that off. Both of the above. Thank you, guys. Have a great evening. And for those of you that's interviewing tomorrow from 2 to 3, I look forward to meeting with you guys. Thank you, guys. Have a great night.